What's up, everybody? Fabs here, and I'm a little excited. The Cowboys are whooping on the Jaguars. Part of what's been an insane day. Bears defense, what the heck happened there? Anyways, I want to get to some early waiver wire pickups for Week 7. I'm just going to go through a bunch of guys who may be available in your league. And Marlon Mack comes up first. 13 touches, almost had 100 scrimmage yards against the Jets, and Nyheim Hines disappeared after he dropped that touchdown pass. Should have been a touchdown pass from Andrew Luck. So, Marlon Mack, it's a backfield committee, but he's getting touches, so any back getting touches in a good offense is certainly worth a look off the waiver wire. From earlier in the week, Corey Clement, if he's still available, get him off the waiver wire. Chester Rogers in that Colts game, a guy that I loved this week, and boy, for 3 quarters, it looked like he was going to put up a stinker, but ended up with almost 16 PPR points. And as long as T.Y. Hilton is out, Chester Rogers has got to be owned and started because Andrew Luck is throwing the ball a ton right now in that offense. Latavius Murray, who I told people to pick up earlier this week with Dalvin Cook out, which is a good thing. If you have Dalvin, you should want him to get 100%. But Latavius Murray put up a huge number against the Cardinals. At the very least, if you have Cook, you've got to handcuff him with Murray's on the waiver wire. He did have a great matchup today, so this is not going to be what you get from Latavius Murray every single weekend, but you still need to handcuff Cook, and Murray's the guy. In that same game, Christian Kirk, he's the top option in the passing game for Josh Rosen. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald has sort of disappeared, and Rosen's throwing to Christian Kirk, so he needs to be added in leagues. Let's go back to that Bears game where Mitch Trubisky throws 3 touchdown passes. And I wasn't on the Trubisky bandwagon. I don't think I'm still on the Trubisky bandwagon, but 9 touchdowns in 2 games. Looked pretty good, you know, ended up being a high-scoring game in Miami, which a lot of people didn't expect. I still don't say he's a QB1 in fantasy, but he's a worthwhile QB2, or clearly if you're in a 2QB league or in a Superflex league, guy should be owned in all leagues. Albert Wilson, who, I mean, Kenny Stills at this point could be dropped, but Albert Wilson has a huge game. Has had a couple of huge games this season. Now needs to be owned. Frank Gore, yeah, man. I mean, you may want to plug your ears if Kenyon Drake's on your fantasy football team, but Frank Gore is doing what I thought he was going to do, put a huge dent into Drake's fantasy value, and he did it today. And how about the old man going for 100 rushing yards against the Bears? I guess this guy just has the fountain of youth someplace. In Oakland, Seahawks, Raiders over in London. I talked about this guy last week, Jalen Richard in a PPR league. Raiders are not good. They're going to be behind in a lot of games, and Richard is the best pass-catching running back they have, so he's seeing his share of targets. Bad news for Marshawn Lynch owners. After a good start, he's had 2 absolute stink bombs in a row. CJ Uzomah, who I told people to pick up this past week, and Vance McDonald, who was a hot waiver wire pickup a couple of weeks ago. Both guys at tight end. Position is thin right now. Go out and get him. If someone dropped O.J. Howard in your league, he needs to be owned now across the board. The Bucs have no defense. Their offense has got a lot of firepower. That's a pretty good recipe for fantasy success. Austin Hooper, another one. A guy who I told you to pick up a couple of weeks ago. He's putting up good numbers, and when the matchup is right, you know, Austin Hooper is a worthwhile tight end 1, and he's shown that over the last couple of weeks. A couple more. Ito Smith, who, you know, I don't know that he's going to have much of a role once Devonta Freeman comes back, but we're not exactly sure when he is coming back. So he's at least worth, you know, a pickup in a deeper league. And if Freeman is out for another week, another couple of weeks, you know, Smith, with bye weeks coming up, the heavy bye weeks coming up, is going to be worth a look. And then Donta Foreman. Now, no set timetable for when he's going to return. Could be in the next couple of weeks. But, I mean, Houston's backfield looks bad right now. Lamar Miller doesn't look good. You know, Alfred Blue had a good game against the Cowboys last week. But, I mean, you're not gonna you know, rest your hopes and dreams of backfield success on Alfred Blue. So, Foreman is one of those guys maybe you stash away right now and see what happens in the next couple of weeks. So, those are your early Week 7 waiver wire pickups. I hope you guys all did well in your fantasy leagues this week, and we'll see you on NFL Fantasy Live this week.